Now, we have a situation in the past few days, we have a situation in the Senate this time, surprisingly, where PDP lawmakers have said that they are not going to attend to any bills and motions on the floor in protest of the presidency's stand on governors and handing party structures to governors in the state. As you are aware, many governors, about 18 of them or more, intend to come to the Senate come 2015, meaning that some of the lawmakers here would lose their seats. And even apart from that, these governors, besides taking the seats of lawmakers, they want to put in their loyalists in the National Assembly. Now, Then there's an argument where I've heard some people say we have a high turnover of lawmakers in both chambers. A situation where, come 2015, it's likely that we're going to have new lawmakers who will now have to come in to start learning the legislative process. Now, what are your thoughts about these two positions? High turnover, yes, or should it be status quo? Should it be as it is?
Well, let me start by saying that the decision of the distinguished senators is at best rascally, because it's promoting the self above the collective. I mean, why would you? Because you stand the risk of losing your senatorial ambition. Why would you keep the nation hostage to the extent of saying that you are not going to cooperate so as to delay the passage of the Appropriation Act? I mean, we have money to spend. Now, the price of oil keeps on falling. And the little we have, we cannot even make laws on how to use this thing because you say you have to come back. But that's by the side. Looking at it from the point of the mortality rate of parliamentarians, I want to say that it's not so severe in two ways. First of all, for the constituency, for the senatorial district, you find out that they are losing. Because if I am there before and I've stayed two tenures, automatically my profile, my status in ranking is coming up. In which case my constituency stands to benefit more the longer I stay. But if I am substituted, if I am changed and some other person comes up, it means my constituency will go back because he will be coming back as a fresher, except if he has some other experiences that they consider in the ranking. Then, for the purposes of making effective legislation for the country, I believe lawmaking is like wine. The older, the better the taste goes. So I think we're practicing the American brand of democracy. And in America, where you find people who have been there for over 20 years and so on. And that is why almost nothing is new to them again. Almost nothing. What they are really doing is not to adapt laws to meet the challenges of the time. But if you send me now, as I am today, as I'm here speaking English today, you send me to the National Assembly, basically I will take the first few months or 1 year or thereabout to learn the ropes, to learn how even to conduct myself in Parliament. But meanwhile, a returning honorable member or senator already knows what he's expected to do. And he has such a pride that he will now use it as a bargaining chip to make sure that he gets the best for his people. Because do not forget that in addition to making laws for the country as a whole, they also represent the constituency. So there is something their constituents are expecting them to bring back home. And you cannot bring back home except we have an enhanced status, which can only come with ranking, which can only come with long-standing participation or involvement as a senator. So if we keep on recycling, then we bring some today. The governors, do not forget, the governors today will have some other governors tomorrow trying to come up. And then at the end of the day, it will be a revolving door. One goes in, it goes out. So I think for the benefit of making laws, making sound, good, and effective laws, I think it's appropriate that we reduce the payment we are doing to the people who are there already by minimizing the rate of turnover, because it doesn't work well for the system. It's the more we turn them over, fine, good, because those who argue for turnover are insisting on what has come to be called stomach infrastructure, that you've been there for a long time, let another person go. But two of you are going from the same senatorial district, and therefore, which person between us is better placed to bring dividends of democracy back to our people? It is the person who has stayed longer, because the longer he stays, the more he climbs in the ladder of the parliamentary house. So you think it is more of selfishness that is driving the system, and whether the governors or those power brokers in the states, because sometimes it may not even be governors. The governor may rather have another interest which he wants to bring to Senate or to the House of Reps to displace the old existing one. So I think it doesn't work too well for the system, both for the constituents as well as for the legislative business.
Welcome back to the Gavel. After almost 2 years, the National Assembly has finally handed over the Constitution Amendment Bill to the State Houses of Assembly. The State Houses of Assembly will now have to vote on the clauses up for amendment. Now, each amendment requires approval by resolution of the State House of Assembly of not less than 2/3 of all the states, which translates to 24 states to be able to scale through in accordance with the provision of Section 9(2) of the 1999 Constitution. Finally, the leadership of the National Assembly handed over the Constitution Amendment Bill to the State Houses of Assembly. The significance of this was not lost on the legislature, as the leadership of the National Assembly was at the handing over ceremony. It took more than 2 years for the National Assembly to get to this point. There were a series of processes which the Constitution Amendment Bill passed through, such as public hearings at the 6 geopolitical zones, public hearings at the National Assembly, retreats and meetings, to name a few. Some of the aspects of the 1999 Constitution for amendment are financial autonomy for state houses of assembly, autonomy for local governments. Should Section 197, subsection 1b be amended to abolish the State Independent Electoral Commission in order that all elections are conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission, independent candidacy in elections. Should the Constitution be amended to address issues of electoral reform, including the time for conducting by-elections, time limit for determining election petitions? Should the office of the Attorney General of the Federation be separated from that of the Minister of Justice?
The bill we transmit to you today is an obligation of the will of Nigerian people. The legislature has now recognized that to secure the future of Nigeria in political, social and economic terms, it must invariably review our constitution to meet the aspirations and needs of our diverse people to facilitate national development in an equitable manner. As individuals and actors, we may differ from the views of the people on grounds of principles of federalism and other reasons, but as Democrats, we are bound to respect their views. The practice of federalism varies from one country to another and reflects to a large extent the country's history, traditions, practices, and precedents. Nigerians have chosen the type of federalism they want. We should respect it. We believe and hope that you will use your good offices and try as much as possible to resist certain influences and do the right thing by passing into law these important provisions of the Constitution that will not only guarantee the legislature's freedom and independence, but will ensure that you do your work soon thereafter without much let or hindrance.
Senate President David Mark urged the state assemblies to do what is in the best interest of the current democratic system and what will bring governance nearer and closer to the people.
I want to just urge that we do what is right, what is in the best interest of our current democratic system, and what will bring governance nearer and closer to the people.
We are determined to show our will to support changes that will advance the cause of our democracy. Reference has been made to the issue of financial autonomy for states. Let me plead that we forget the past. This issue for us today remains a yes, yes, yes answer.
Each amendment requires approval by resolution of the Houses of Assembly of not less than 2/3 of all the states, which translates to 24 states, to scale through in accordance with the provisions of Section 9(2) of the 1999 Constitution. The bill is now in the court of the State Houses of Assembly. Now, Now, this is where we draw the curtains for this week's edition of the Gavel. If you have any views or opinions on any of the issues discussed, please email us on thegavel@channelstv.com. Thank you for staying with us, and see you again next time.